Hey, you might want to put on a helmet so it don't make a mess when I blow your mind.
Hey, how you doing today? Name's Gabrielle, so make a move out the way. Hey, who you trying to be? I can barely walk straight, so don't follow me.
The finest insanity on your radio dial. The Flipside Radio Show.
It's the Flipside, Fans of the Insanity, and it's a podcast. You can download it on iTunes as well as Blogspot. Just look for TheMediaJack.blogspot.ca, and as well as here on YouTube. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm JD, the Media Jack, and it's been a while since I've had a chance to actually have a group of people in studio, and I'm pleasured to have. Pleasured is that. That's just way to start this thing, hey?
One way.
All right,
We've already pleasured you.
Pleasured you very so.
Already off the rails here. Episode 405 for the Flipside, and we'll start off with welcoming a returning guest. Levi Sinclair is back. Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You fighting something ill and just nasty over the past week and a half.
Yeah, the past 6 days were definitely not my prime, but I'm back stronger than ever, full of antibiotics, which I always think of like kryptonite. But no, I'm good. It was a nasty round of strep throat. Had a nice little hospital visit. Ate a lot of popsicles. But here I am.
Yeah, they sneak something in the popsicles, I'm thinking.
Exactly.
Yes. And to your right, Peter, first time on the Flipside. Hi, Peter.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy we're doing this inside in a moderately air-conditioned room as opposed to my old studio, which was no AC. Peter, you are a reporter for CKBG TV here in Prince George.
That is right.
Yes.
Doing sports.
Sports.
That is our new thing, actually, as of today. Julian, who we work with, who works in our control room, whenever I walk in now, he just goes, sports! And I just answer back, sports! And then when we do the mic check, instead of saying a sentence or whatever, I just go, sports! I think it's going to be an ongoing thing now.
Peter, where are you originally from?
I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is a long ways away from here.
That is.
Born and raised, spent the first 18 years of my life there. Mm-hmm. And then went to university, went traveling, lived in Toronto for a bit, made my way to Fort St. John and Dawson Creek, and now I'm here.
Look at you.
Thank you.
And to your right, a man who helps out with my broadcast on 99.3 The Drive, Tyson Fedor. Hi, Tyson.
JD, what's going on, man?
Not much. Tyson is also a reporter, and I saw anchor for CKBG TV.
Yeah, looks like it. Eh?
Looks like it.
Pushed me onto that 6:30 newscast, 11 o'clock as well.
Looking good in the pink shirt.
Yeah, well, I had to change it up.
I hope we see Tyson's face on some billboards soon.
No, I don't think
man,
you want to do
nice.
that. No, let's get real. No, you don't
Tyson, where are
that.
you originally from?
Well, it's
a simple question.
How about if you were to take a CN rail train with 118 cars on it,
okay,
that's probably how many stops I've had along my life. So you're kind of like, where am I from? I don't know how to tell you that because
I'm on the same wavelength as you.
Okay,
I was born in England.
Fine.
Moved to North Van.
Okay.
Then to Calgary,
All
to
right.
a place called Okotoks where I grew up.
Okay, yeah.
Then to White Rock, then to Whitehorse, to Terrace, now to Prince George.
Why?
Why not?
How was Okotoks? It's just like a cool name.
Okotoks was an interesting place,
Yeah.
known for the big rock. It's just a big rock.
So let me
in the middle of
ask
Farmers Field.
you this. You were from a place with a big rock, but you also lived in a place called
White
White
Rock.
Rock.
You know it.
So,
And there's a big rock there.
is there a
It's
rock here
painted.
that I'm missing?
Not
It's
that
painted?
I know. The White Rock is painted
I
white.
thought that was like natural.
No.
You know what? I thought it was
But
just
white's not
naturally.
a color, remember?
It's a
So we got
shade.
it's like a
You're right,
shade.
you're right.
So
Well, if we're all discussing different places we've lived, I guess I should mention from the ages of 2 to 4, I lived in Botswana.
you top us all.
My sister was born there.
Oh.
And no, you do not get citizenship if you're born
That is
there.
unfortunate.
Your parents have to be from there, which my parents are definitely not.
I asked
okay.
that question. I was very passive
Everyone
aggressive.
asks.
Oh, really? That
No,
makes
yeah.
me feel better.
So, do you have dual citizenship? No.
No.
Your sister? No. Cool. Well, welcome to the Flipside.
Well, thanks for having us.
You don't know what you bargained
No,
for.
I didn't. No. Well, generally my rule is with the flip side, as it has been for the past 7 years, is I try to surround myself with people much smarter than me. And case in point, here
Well,
you
should
are.
I just walk out the door
No.
or what? Like, let's
just
get real.
Now, Levi, you were lucky enough to be, it was just one-on-one, you and myself, and we got to know a lot about you and your broadcast history. I want to know about these two gentlemen's broadcast history, but I'm going to start with Tyson. And what made you decide to go into broadcast media?
Well, that's a good question. The guy to my left here, Peter Houston, he was one of my idols. Well, let's just say that from the young age of 12 or 13. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I wanted to get into sports broadcasting probably from when I was about 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
And growing up in a small town of 30,000, there was a couple of radio stations there. So I applied and hired me on. It was one of those jobs that nobody likes, those board ops and covering all those evening shifts, and then finally had my own evening show, and then took off to go to school at BCIT, and then made the move to Whitehorse, and then did a year up there of some radio news, and then got into TV in Terrace, and then back to TV here in Prince George. So it's kind of been all over.
Right. But
Kind of went to news. So I went in for sports, but I ended up doing news.
Okay,
because
yeah.
I was just like, well, I don't have that incredible personality like this guy to my left here to be a sports guy.
Why are you buttering him up?
I kind of want to know the same thing.
Exactly. My God.
So, yeah, because we're going to segue into him.
Yes,
in a
we are
second.
gonna
So
segue
I'm
into
trying
him,
to just
but-
butter him right up.
We are going to segue into him, but I want to know, so your initial passion was to get into broadcast media because of sports.
Yeah.
But now
play-by-play specifically for
Play-by-play.
hockey. Yeah, that was kind of the ultimate goal. And
Okay.
I did a lot of that growing up in my mid to late teens.
Okay. Great place to start.
Oh, it was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. And I realized there's no money in play-by-play. Yeah, there's really no money in this industry
None.
at all.
None
but
whatsoever. Yeah.
you have a better chance of making a little more cash, say, on the TV reporting side of things. So
This is true.
that is kind of how that worked.
When you're talking about money, and like we all know, because we all we all listen to radio, we all watch television. It's really the biggest personalities and the people who have either the genuine skill or the time to take, or that they take the time to learn and hone their craft to a point where it's just they wake up, live, breathe, eat, sleep, what they do for a living. They're the ones who get paid stupid amounts of money.
And you got to know people.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you get into this industry, at least I think you get into this industry because you have a passion for it, as opposed to, it's like, I'm here to make money. Well, that'd be nice.
Go home.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
exactly. Peter, since we're going to segue into you.
Butter up like some scones, eh?
I'm a butter tart over here.
You have quite the fan brigade on either side of you here.
What brought you into the broadcast media world?
Well, similar to Tyson, I was a big sports guy growing up. When I was a kid and in high school, I played pretty much every sport that I could, get my hands on or whatever. So I remember when I was in high school, I was kind of thinking about, going to university and what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I was just like, well, I know I don't want to have a 9-to-5 job that I just watch the clock all day and hate. So, what will I enjoy? And the only thing I could think of was like, well, sports is pretty much the only thing I do. Play every sport, watch every sport, do all that. So went to school for journalism with the intention of sort of doing what I'm doing now, sports reporter, sports anchor. Out of school, I got an internship at TSN, doing sort of behind the scenes, making the highlight packs for Sports Center.
Cool.
Which was a really awesome, wicked job at a wicked place to work as well.
Yeah.
So I worked there for a couple years. The dream was always to be the person on the desk reading the highlights. And so the job I was doing, just writing the highlights and editing them and putting them all together, you don't really get to that job from where I was. My job kind of leads to more behind the scenes producer, that editor kind of track, I guess.
So you were looking to be like more like Don Taylor.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Any of those guys. And at TSN, you know, Darren Detish and Dutchy and like Kate Burness and all those people that you know on TSN,
Right.
Who I was working with. I was like, I remember one day I can't remember exactly who it was. Maybe it was Kate or Kara Wagland. I was like, how do I become the next you? And
I want to be you.
yeah, I remember actually had a conversation with them one day, and they're like, well, you got to like, you know, take the leap, go to a small market, get your reps, get your experience on air, and work your way back. So a job came up in Fort St. John. And I was like, all right, here we go. Lived in Toronto for 4 years. All my friends lived there. My sister lived there. My best friend from Halifax lived there. My whole life was there. And I was like, all right, going to Fort St. John. That was pretty scary. I remember I moved to Fort St. John in January, but I had already accepted a job in late December. And I remember on Christmas Day in Toronto, it was like 14 or 15 degrees, like just ridiculously unseasonably warm.
Yeah.
And I checked the forecast in Fort St. John. It was like minus 28 without the wind chill. It's like, what have I gotten myself into? I moved to Fort St. John from Toronto, and just that whole situation, and like, so that was a bit of a leap of faith, and it worked out. I'm here now, and I wouldn't change it. I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got picked up from the airport by our secretary at the station, who was like a girl my age-ish or whatever. So
This station?
no,
Fort
when I
St.
went
John?
to Fort St. John, yeah.
Oh, what do I know?
And yeah, so I get there, and I'm just kind of like, I'm like, oh, cool. So like, what, like you know, what do young people, or like, what do people like us like do for fun around here?
Yeah.
And she just goes, oh, I was hoping you weren't gonna ask that. I had a heart sinking like moment, like,
no.
what have I done? Like,
Yeah.
oh God.
I am literally in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
But yeah, so yeah, I did sports and news when I was in Fort St. John, so got to cover a lot of hockey and stuff, which is what I wanted to do, and then ended up being the sports anchor in Dawson Creek for a little bit, and then that's how I got this job.
Oh, cool.
So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
You know what?
boy.
I'm not gonna fight you over it. Levi, like you had an interesting story. This, like, you are multifaceted and are absolutely incredible because we've already gone over the podcast. Now I'll link to the podcast down below of it's just a one-on-one between you and I. But you go headlong into everything. And if you don't succeed, you leave an impression after you have dropped something because you're determined.
I try.
Damn
Do
right
tell.
you
Do
tried.
tell.
Does Tyson know about your back?
My back? I think so, right?
You're back.
Yeah, like my actual spinal column. The good old
Do you have three?
vertebra.
Do you have 3?
No.
Oh.
No, just that
Not
it's
at
all
all if I do.
fused together.
Yeah. She was like, you were just an absolute beast on the gymnastics floor, were you not?
Well,
RoboCop or what?
I mean, if we're gonna really backtrack,
well.
technically it was a performing circus program.
Oh, right.
And then competitive dance for a while.
her singing career is going to take off too.
Or what?
Singing career.
Singing career.
You're missing like one time. But yeah, there was the debate of going into musical theater as well.
Right.
So I don't know. My mom always jokes about how I do a lot of things, but I'm by no means an expert in all of them. But I like to try to convince people that I'm an expert in something. I'm really not. I just like to try new things. So.
Yeah, exactly. At least you're willing to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, first topic around the table now that we've gotten to know each other is I wanted to know, has the fandom hit you guys yet?
The what?
Levi knows what I'm talking about. The fandom. Like, you're starting, like, being here in Prince George, a very tight-knit community, and dare I say, correct me if I'm wrong, but by far the most exposure you've had so far in broadcast media. Mm-hmm. So, have you been approached by fans, or have you been hit on, or anything of the sort at all?
JD, I'm not you. Let's get real.
No. Okay, so the only reason I was hit on, and I actually explained this in another podcast earlier, was the only reason I was hit on was because you threw me on camera after a company that I worked for was shot at by trucks.
Yeah.
Was shot at.
That's what makes news.
in the trucks.
It's great news, right? Like,
Great
I
news.
totally
yeah.
forgot about this story. This is so funny.
Yeah,
That was
so
amazing.
The company I was working for, which I still do work for part-time.
was it your sexy pecs or something she said?
Something.
Oh,
It was
okay.
something stupid. I was wearing a vertical striped shirt too. It hides a lot. So
Shows a lot.
It shows a physique that's not there. So anyway, yeah, the company I was working for was getting shot at by this random person, and it just so happened that I was working for the company, and Tyson approached me, or I think I approached you or something like that, because questions started coming about, right? And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give a statement, but I wasn't actually one of the ones that was shot at, right? So that story ran, and then Global got my footage, and then ran that, and then within minutes, I suddenly started getting hit on by random women up and down British Columbia through Facebook.
There's so many options.
There's no options when they live in the Lower Mainland, and
There
I'm up
is.
here.
Get on a
But-
flight, go see
Yeah,
her,
I mean, flights
see
are
what she's
cheap.
like, and you're like,
never
oh, you know
know.
what? I could really settle down with you.
No,
In
I
the
couldn't.
Lower Mainland.
No.
Where
Victoria.
no one can afford to live.
Exactly. So anyway, that was the first time that happened, and I remember bringing that up during a meeting, and where my boss was like, "Is that what has to happen?" It's like, no, just chill the hell out. It's
No,
not
it's a striped shirt.
exactly. For vertical line,
V-neck.
it's very slimming. Anyway, so that's my example of
Right.
that. What about you guys?
Well, I guess just this week, actually.
Oh, nice.
I was at the Superstore.
What?
I will even tell you what I bought. What did I buy? Oh, so the Cadbury ice cream was on sale. For
Okay.
like
Is it still?
$2.40. I think it is. It's like $2.40 a bucket, 2-liter bucket.
Okay.
So I got 2 of those.
Good tip.
Because if you go over, it's like $6 after that. So whatever. It is what it is. Bought that, and I bought something else, whatever it was. Get to the till.
Bananas and kiwis.
No. No. Stay away from that.
Canned whipped cream.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Ooh.
It could have been milk. Who knows? Get to the till.
Yeah.
And this lady is just staring at me. I'm like waiting for her to ask the question, like,
Don't
hey,
I-
do you have PC points today? I'm like, well, yes, I'll give you my card. So
Yeah.
I'm like pulling out my card, and she's just staring, like not saying a word. She's just staring me up and down. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like you can ask. Like I'm wearing a hat. I look homeless, like literally homeless. Like I'm in
Just like the rest of us.
I'm in blue
broadcast people.
sweatpants, like red
Yeah.
shoes, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's looking at me. I'm like, here's my card. Are you the guy on the news? I'm like, yes. Oh, that's where I know you from.
Okay.
I've seen your face before. I'm like, well, thank you. That was really about that. That was what, 3 days ago? So, yeah.
I've seen your face before.
Yeah, and of course you run into people in the streets and this and that. But yeah, really for fandom, like most recent, 3 days ago. There you go.
3 days ago? Well, it's not bad.
Cashier at Superstore.
Damn.
Yeah, nice lady. I don't know her name.
You didn't
Nice
see your
lady,
name
though.
tag?
Didn't read it.
No? Agatha?
No, I
Probably.
think it was like Suzanne or Sue. Wasn't Gladys. No.
Okay.
But yeah, that's really the most unintelligent story I've told.
You know what? This is a starting point. Levi?
I hope people don't recognize me in public for the most part.
So you were working part-time as a cashier at Superstore.
Yeah, and the vacuum man, I was like, I've seen your face before. No, I don't know. I feel like, so to give some context, like I don't have a TV. I've also like never seen myself on TV. But I've seen like the clips.
Okay.
But they're not like the edited commercials or anything. Like I've never seen them, which I kind of like, because then when I do my shoots, like there's no pressure. It just is what it is, because I never am like hard on myself because I never see it. So that's good. But I was actually saying this to Peter earlier. There's a woman in my building. And so when I first applied to rent in my building, the landlord, I had never rented before, so I had no references for her to call. Right. And she was like, okay, like, what do you do for a living? So I walked her through what I do, and she was like, oh, like, that's very cool and whatever. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Can I rent this apartment or no?
Yeah.
But I guess at some point, like, she told everyone that I was the fun chaser in the building. And so I'm, like, the only person in my building under the age of 52, probably.
Oh.
And 52 is like the young end of things. So
Okay.
like it's not like you can really miss me because I can walk. And so, but there's this woman in my building. She's absolutely lovely. But every time I go down the hallway, she'll always do that like little arm smack. She'd be like, I just saw you on TV. I just saw you. And like, it's kind of that's it. It's always like the elderly people. It's never anyone else.
Well, that's adorable, though.
I get a lot of hugs from grannies at like hockey.
Do you
games.
now?
I love that.
That's when I get recognized the most, for sure.
An alarming amount.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, do tell.
Oh, it's just I'm the sports guy. They see me at the sports game. It's pretty easy for them to make the connection. As for the Tyson one, it wasn't as easy for them. I just kind of staring at him for a while. For me, it's like I'm in my natural habitat. So like, oh, you're the sports guy.
Yeah.
They know me right away. But no, actually, when I was in Fort St. John, believe it or not, I had like a work Facebook profile. It was like CJDC Peter Houston or whatever. So people from town would just add me.
Right.
And I had an old lady once like ask me out on a date or to dinner or something like that.
Just happened the other day too.
She asked me out to dinner and I just say, no, sorry, like not going to. And then
I'd
after
take
that,
the free dinner and leave.
I don't know.
Oh my God, Tyson Fedor.
But I don't know what
The
dinner
elderly.
she's really talking about, so let's get real here.
So I say no, and then politely.
Yeah.
And then she just says, "Love you," which was the most like ship sinking, just fire off your rounds. Like might as well. Like, I just thought that was like the funniest thing ever.
You stop, turn around, go, did you say lasagna? What's for dinner?
Fish and chips?
That was probably the best moment.
Oh, you know what?
Most memorable.
I actually today I was out. So we just got the new vehicle for the Fun Chaser. It's a
Yes,
Jeep,
I saw it.
and I like it. It's pretty fancy. But there's a big event today for like off-roading vehicles at the Treasure Cove Casino in the parking lot.
Right.
So I went, showed off the Jeep. I was like, "Hey guys, like, what's up?"
Hair flip.
Yeah, everyone's in their like outdoor gear, and I'm like, "Yeah, just like rolled in, whatever, it's fine."
Oh my God, is that one of them Jeeps?
Yeah, exactly. Like, beep beep. And I show up, and this little girl like runs up to me. She's like, "You're the Fun Chaser," and I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You look more like Taylor Swift, like not in person." I was like, "Thank you." And then she hugged me, and then I left. It was just like a really awkward like confrontation, but she was pretty cute.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I would consider that like a fan though. Like I feel like a fan has to come up to you and be like, "You're doing a great job. I love what you do," instead of like, "Oh, okay."
You know exactly what I expected.
Yeah, exactly.
This just came back to me. I guess this was technically a fan moment. I was covering a basketball game once, and I was like high up in the stands shooting.
Yeah.
And there was a guy lower down, and there was like a stoppage in play or something, and he just turns around and stands up and looks at me, and he's like, "Hey, Peter, you're doing a great job." Like, just yells out in the crowd. No idea who he was. I was like, "Thanks." That was awesome.
Family Day weekend.
Family Day
sort
weekend.
of. Now just recalling all these
Yep.
memories.
Yep.
I was up at UMBC. We were playing I was with a couple buddies, and we were playing some soccer up there. And UMBC team was there, and the Spruce Kings showed up after a long road trip. So that they're out there playing with the kids, doing their community events.
Yeah.
And you get there, and then there's kids running around with these hats, and they got these Sharpie markers. They're running around. The Spruce Kings are in their jerseys. You know what they look like. I look like I've been soaked in like 10 pounds of sweat.
Okay, yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
So we're out there. These kids go running around at Spruce Kings asking for autographs, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Then they come up to me. They're like, "Hey, can you sign my hat?" And I'm like, "Do you know who I am?" And they're like, "Spruce King?" I'm like, "Sorry to disappoint you, bud. No." And then just this look on this kid's face was so depressing. Like he just devastated. Like I'd like almost stabbed him in the heart and just kept turning it. And he was so depressed. And I was just like, "You don't want my autograph, man. Like, go talk to him."
Exactly.
And then he's like, "No, but I want it."
Oh.
And I'm like, "No, you don't, buddy." Like, just
should have just signed
Should've.
it though.
So I
Listen,
signed it.
There you
good,
go.
good. I was about to call you a heartless wench.
There was two of them. One follow the leader, you know.
The best example I can think of, at least the most humorous example I can think of, is before I worked here, I was actually a reporter for Shaw TV when they had a lot more local content. And I also had my own segment where I was reviewing video games. I'm a huge video game buff, so any excuse for me to get free video games from the big guys, I'll take it. Right? So anyway, so I had this segment called Gaming It with JD, and it was on for a couple of years. And then that went by the wayside, and I had to find another job. Turns out the best job suited for me at that point in time was Furniture Repo Man. That was a thing. They're actually still here in town. So anyway, it's an unfortunate situation. Sometimes you just kind of got to go in there, and it's like people just can't pay their bills. They're renting this furniture, and they've fallen behind, delinquent, whatever. So you got to go and repossess. So you never go alone because people do tend to get a little bit belligerent at times. It's not good. So anyway, one time I'm there, I'm working with someone else, and like, yeah, we're here to reclaim your, repossess your furniture. Oh yeah, no problem whatsoever. But then the guy gave me a funny look. I'm like, okay, I keep working. So I'm grabbing this, grabbing that, and he keeps giving me a funny look. Like he's not paying attention to the other guy, but he's giving me a funny look every single time, right? I'm like, the hell? Like this guy wants to throw down, and like he's gonna get upset or something.
I think
like
he
that?
wanted to throw down.
Maybe. So anyway, as I'm going through, and finally I'm grabbing the last piece of furniture, he's on his phone and go, "No, I'm serious, man. I'm serious. The gaming guy is here repossessing my furniture." Like, oh, that's what that look was.
That's so comforting.
Yeah.
That's hilarious that he was like, he had to call his buddy. Too. You're never going to believe this.
I don't even care about the furniture. It's him.
So yeah, that was the one time that that is at least the most humorous part of being caught in the fandom, I guess. So you guys all moved here from different places. And I wanted to share something with you that just happened to me just recently. I moved into a new apartment. I have a roommate, and I moved into this apartment building. And as moving to any different building, any new scenario, you comes with certain bills, right? And I set up my hydro, and I set up my cable and internet, and I set up everything I thought I had to. One of the things I set up was Fortis, which is here in British Columbia, is the gas company, right? So I set that all up, and I get on the phone with Fortis, and I go, yeah, I'm in this apartment block, and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, oh, okay. Well, the security deposit is going to be quite substantial. I went, oh, why is that? She goes, well, the person before you who's had this account who lived in that apartment building, I guess they use a lot of gas, so we're just going to use them as a basis. So the security deposit is going to be about $600. Oh, that is a lot. Okay, can I do it in payments? Yeah, no problem. So 2 months go down, and I'm just kind of scratching my head like, why is it so expensive? I don't remember being so expensive before. I've lived in this apartment building before. Why is this so expensive? And so finally I make another payment, and then I was like, I'm going to call him. So I call him up, and I get an operator and go, yeah, I just wanted to call about the status of my account. She goes, okay, what's your address? So I give her my address, and she goes, okay, do you live above in an ice cream shop? I said, no.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. But no. She goes, oh, is this a commercial residence? I said, no, it's an apartment building. She goes, oh, are you like the only one there? I said, no, there's like 60 units. What is going on? She goes, hold on, click, and she puts me on hold. She comes back, and she goes, about 20 minutes later, she goes, I just talked to my supervisor. You weren't supposed to open up an account. I go, okay, why not? She goes, well, according to our records, there's only one gas account in this entire building, and it's for the boiler, which does the water for all the apartment buildings, laundry and all this stuff, right? And so that's the only account that should exist. Unless you've taken over the apartment building, you shouldn't have been able to open up an account. I was like, good point. How did this happen? Like, okay, so I called up and I said, like, I'd like to open an account, and the person on the other side went, yeah, okay, click, and just did it, right? But apparently didn't take my apartment number, just took the apartment address.
So you're just paying for the entire building.
Paying for the entire building.
What a good guy you are. Citizen of the Year.
Oh, well, you can. So
Is your landlord just like, this is sweet, I never pay for gas anymore?
well, I called my landlord and I explained the situation. She goes, that explains a lot. I go, what? She goes, our budget's been out of whack for like 2 months. We've been having a surplus. We don't know where it came from. I went, you're welcome. So in total, $625 that I've been scrounging and saving and working my ass off just to pay this security deposit that I didn't have to. It is going to come back to me eventually. But I had to pay it all off. And like Fortis was really apologetic, saying like, we're sorry, this shouldn't have happened. Like the operator should have just stopped it immediately. And the apartment manager is like, well, that's a learning experience. Shit. We'll take it back over. Hopefully you can get your money back. But yeah, it was just one of those things that it was just a random occurrence events that just kind of just fell together. And then if it wasn't for me checking on it, chances are I would still be paying.
So is there the opportunity to open an ice cream place for you?
I guess you could.
Why
There's a big
not?
enough gymnasium. No one uses the racquetball court.
Because I'm honestly feeling like you're missing an entrepreneurial opportunity. You're looking at this all wrong.
Possibly. Very, very possibly.
I had a pretty funny incident, I guess, when I moved into my apartment here.
Yeah.
It was very like last minute me moving here. Like I came down, showed up 2 days before my first day of work, and didn't have an apartment lined up. Like looked at a few the day before I started work, but they were all pretty sketchy, pretty bad. And I was like, no, there's no
In
way I'm
Prince
living there.
George.
Wait,
So then I found
where'd
like-
you look?
It was like along Queensway.
No
Like that
kidding.
kinda- yeah. Well, I didn't know Prince George, like
It
in a
sounds
pretty
like a nice
desperate
street.
scenario. And then I had a viewing set up at the place I'm at, which is across the street from where we are right now, the
Yeah.
station.
Yeah.
Set up for like the morning of my first day of work. That was the
Oh.
only time they could meet me. And so I checked out all the other places, and I was like, no. And I found that place, and it's like good enough right across from work. I was like, yep, I'll take it just right away, pretty much, because I had to go into work in like an hour. Anyway, so it turns out that the building I'm in is the first apartment building that was ever built in Prince George. Like it's the oldest apartment building
Really?
in Prince George. Yeah, which is kind of cool. But it's also kind of not cool for when you're trying to get like internet and stuff set up because all the wiring is just ancient and stuff like that. So I have the TELUS guy come over and he's going through it and he's like, okay, like this is pretty old stuff and this, I don't know what I'm gonna be able to do. And like, I forget exactly what it was, but he was like, yeah, the thing you ordered I can't do, but I can do like one step below that, like maybe speed or something. I forget what it
Okay,
was,
yeah,
but I was
yeah.
like, okay, whatever, no problem. And he's like, yeah, this is really old. Like this is like actually like I haven't seen anything like this in like years. Like this is crazy. He's like, do you mind if I take a picture of this and send it to my buddy? Like he's never gonna believe it. So he's literally in my apartment on the phone to one of his buddies at TELUS. He's like, yeah, man, like look at this. Like, this is fucking hilarious. And I'm just like that can't be good. Like, are you sure everything's okay? But yeah, he's just going off about how like ridiculously old the whole setup is. But.
This stuff predates dial-up, man. Like Morse code.
I'm gonna send you a picture. This is crazy. I'm just like, oh god.
What about you, Levi? Any experiences, learning lessons from moving?
Okay. Well, besides everything.
Besides everything? Yeah.
So I had never lived on my own until living up here.
Mm-hmm.
And actually like I had no idea what I was doing.
Okay.
I don't like to make it obvious that I don't know what I'm doing, as I sort of stated before. So moving out was sort of this like big thing that I was just really playing off and having it be like super cool and relaxed. And I was like, I wanted to do everything right. So that same landlord I was talking about, like, we did a couple walkthroughs. There was like 4 different apartments that I could choose from because I had a bunch of vacancies open up. And so I chose the one that I liked, number 9, and it was good. It was all set to go. And then I started like looking into getting apartment insurance because I'm overly cautious. And apparently, according to some people, you don't need it. However, I strongly feel that you do, just to be, cautious and safe and such.
Right.
So with filling out the applications for apartment insurance, you need to know a lot about the building.
Right.
So I sat down with my landlord and I was like, okay, so when was the roof replaced? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, and is it knob and tube wiring? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, is it copper pipes? And she's like, I don't don't know. And I was like, okay, do the sprinklers work? And she was like, well, the fire department comes by once in a while. And I was like, okay. I'll mark that down as a yes. And I'm like, are there like fire extinguishers in every unit? And she's like, yes, but none of them have been updated for at least 11 years. And I was like, okay.
Holy Christ.
So I'm like going through this whole thing. She has like
That's
no
a news
idea
story.
And so I'm like, okay, that should be all the information I need. Great. So I go to do my insurance, and I'm on the phone with a lady after I had submitted my form, and she's like, is there any way you can find out any of this information? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. And she was like, well, what did you do in your last place? And I was like, I don't know. My mom and dad dealt with that. But yeah, like I didn't know anything about like paying hydro. I didn't know anything about hooking up internet. In fact, I called Peter once and was like, okay, I need you to never bring this up ever again. Here I am bringing it up. And I was like, I need to ask you all the questions about renting because like you understand life and stuff.
I've
And
lived life a little bit.
and like I was asking questions and he'd be like, are you kidding or no? And I was like, no.
Can you help me out? You're more worldly than me.
Yeah, so I mean the entire thing was like an experience and a half. I kind of feel like now I kind of have it figured out, but you know, it's taken time. There's things that I feel like I should worry about more. Like I feel like I should be more worried about like leaving my windows open when I sleep and like stuff like that, but I don't because I like the fresh air. I love that Prince George smell at night, you know?
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
great.
You haven't experienced the fallout yet, so.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, like all of it was sort of one big adventure, but I don't know. My landlord seemed to think it was really charming that I had no idea what I was doing. So I feel like that was kind of
Because they just took advantage of you.
Yeah.
Look at you, just a little babe in the
Yeah,
woods.
exactly. And there's a fee for this. Like, there's a fee for the doorknob. What? But yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that was interesting.
Well, leaving your windows open at night, I mean, you don't. It's not like you live on the ground floor.
No, I live like slightly mildly above that.
Exactly.
Like a bit.
Same thing with me. Like I live.
Yeah.
If someone was really, really ambitious, they could make they could make their way in because like I know like my bedroom window is open and the patio door is open
Yeah.
at my place. I mean, it's like I said, if someone's really, really ambitious, they could make their way up.
And
there.
then in that case, if you're that ambitious, like good job. Like honestly,
You deserve
good
that
for
TV.
you.
You're going to be waiting in there to high five them.
You did it! Let me make you a snack.
Put down my TV. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine I go home and like my TV is gone, and I'm like I never had one. Right? Shoot.
What about you?
About me.
Yeah, life lessons,
moving.
moving. Yeah.
You know what?
You have like the nicest basement suite in like all of Prince George. But
Really?
No one's lived in it. Yeah, I was the first one to live in it. But,
that might be why.
No, yeah, it's pretty nice leaving windows open. I live in a basement, so I leave my bedroom window open pretty much all the time. But if you can get in there,
Have at her.
you must probably weigh about 60 pounds because clearly it's a small window. You're not getting through that thing, and screens there, so raccoons and rats and mice, sure they might get in, but it is what it is. Company during my sleep, you know. But
The advantage of living in a basement, if I could just say, is during the summer months,
it's so cool.
so much cooler than the rest
My
of the house.
thermostat right now is on 0.
Yeah.
It's literally a fridge.
Yeah.
But no, I've never really had any like mishaps with moving. I think like bills and stuff like that. I always try to get a place that's utilities all in, so I'm just paying one payment a month basically, which is rent.
Nice.
And yeah, so it kind of worked out that my internet and TV is included in my rent along with utilities, so it's just one payment to the landlord. That's that. All bills taken care of.
We need to move in with him.
No, right?
Sounds a little nicer than the oldest apartment building in Prince.
Well, you're living in history. And
You also have great windows.
Yeah.
It's a decently nice apartment for the state of the building, I guess.
Yeah.
It's currently getting like completely redone, so maybe it'll be nice soon.
So Peter's building has they installed security cameras all along the outside of the building, which brought great comfort to me because I live directly across the street. So all of these like new perks, I feel like are adding value to my rental unit. Because
because you live so close that those security cameras will catch anything that goes on coming to or from your place.
Exactly.
Hopefully nothing
like
actually
scoundrels and hoodlums. Is that even politically correct?
Sure, it is now.
You call them dipshits for all I care.
Yeah. Scoundrels and dipshits. No good fellas.
No good fellas. Peter, we'll start off with you on this question. What is the ultimate goal? Like, what is the point where you make in your career where you're like, I am happy where I am?
Good question. Well, the dream has always been, like I said before, just to be on the desk at TSN,
Right.
doing the highlights. That was kind of it. Yeah, like reporting play-by-play maybe as well, like just obviously doing sports stuff.
Yeah.
But
Play-by-play for
play-by-play, it doesn't really matter. I've mostly done it for hockey in my limited experience doing it, but I think like play-by-play is like it's so hard to get into. Like there's such a limited amount of jobs and stuff, but
Yeah.
that would be a dream. It's just like you literally just watch sports. For a living.
You're talking sports.
I guess
the entire
you'd
thing.
be on the road a lot, which would be, it could be fun, but it could be like, you know, you
Prepped
can't
up
really,
in these nice hotels. You can't complain if
Yeah.
you make it to the show.
yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, something along those lines.
And what about like a side project?
Side project.
Yes. No, I mean like okay. For example, like we're sitting here in between two different radio stations. One of them I'm more predominantly on, right? Meanwhile, I'm still podcasting, right? So my side projects is social media because I enjoy doing what I do so much that I involve myself as much as possible. So for me, side projects is social media. So I guess for you, side projects would be like play-by-play,
Yeah.
right? So
Maybe like making like a documentary or something like that.
that'd be cool.
I made a tree planting documentary once. I actually tree planted for 3 summers in Prince George, obviously before moving here, but, like, in my university days.
Okay.
So it was kind of funny when I did end up moving here because it was like coming back to this place I never thought I'd be again that I tree planted out of. But yeah, one summer, me and a buddy it was pretty like, you know, low budget, not serious. We just took his SLR camera and bought like a mic and made a tree planting documentary about our season basically, but it turned out decently good for like, you know, we were still working every day and just fitting it in when we could and didn't have any nice equipment or anything, but
Hey, it's a start.
yeah, doing something like that.
Exactly. Tyson, what about you? Endgame and side project.
Endgame, hey?
Endgame. Where's the point where you're like, I am happy where I am. My career is definitely taking me to a great place.
That's tough. It's a good question. Probably a major market, of course, like as a reporter. But I know that that's not going to last forever. So I need like another career path down the road, whether it's 10, 15, 20 years down, maybe 50 years down the road. Who knows?
Yeah.
But no, I'm thinking of like communications and that side of thing after the broadcast career is in the shit. But yeah, basically it's always being replaced by younger, more talented individuals. And I'm getting up there in age.
Great haircut, pink shirt, motherfuckers.
Yeah. I'm getting up there in age, so I should really start pushing.
I'm the oldest one in the room. Shut up.
That's okay. And you're doing just fine.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. So yeah, who knows? Probably getting the reporting, stay on that track for a while. And who knows?
Who knows?
Settle down, pop a few kids out, marry a woman.
Thanks for specifying.
That's about it.
Not specifically in that order.
No, not really in that order.
I want
We'll figure it
that
out.
on a T-shirt. Pop a few kids out, marry a woman. Tyson Fedora.
Why not?
That was so funny.
So, yeah, that's really,
You're nuts.
really about it.
Levi.
I wish I knew. I wish. I don't know. I've always been somebody who like had a destination of where I was going. Always sort of had a plan, and this is like the first time I don't. Coming to Prince George was like the best thing I ever did as far as career opportunities go. I do a little bit of everything, which is great. But it's also like confused the hell out of me in as far as what I want to do, and as of like this very moment, I don't even know if it's going to end up being broadcasting. I have no idea. Like, it's all over the map, and I think I would like to get into more of like the marketing side of things, as far as like smaller like startup companies and stuff like that. I think that's something I would really enjoy and also be really good at. I've also been like mulling the idea about like teaching or something along those lines, but I get really emotionally attached to like everything. So the idea of having like 30 small children I'm emotionally attached to, but just have to send home at 3:00 every day seems like a bit of a nightmare. So
those are the type of people we see on the news.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you teach my kids?
The ones that you pop out after you marry a woman?
Nailed it.
But yeah, I don't know. I also sort of went into this industry with the sort of inspiration of doing a podcast, and so I would love to do more of like a long-term sort of episode by episode sort of thing like that. But there's so many things I want to do. I don't know. I when I was out sick for the past week, I started watching this show based a while back about midwifery, and then thought that was going to be super cool until I found out that some people eat their placentas. What the and so
what
I
show
gave
were you
that
watching?
up. It's called Call the Midwife. It's on Netflix. It's really good.
No.
But yeah, so you know, like I feel like there's like all of these different opportunities, but like I don't know enough about them to like really guarantee where I want to be. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's on air. Maybe it's yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know.
At this point in time, you're a clean slate.
I have no idea what I want to do. Like,
Fair
it's
enough.
really scary. Like, thanks for bringing it up. But I'm happy with where I'm at right now, getting my toes wet in all of these different places.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that flexibility and that diversity and build up my resume. So, you know, things are cool.
No wrong answer, so thank you.
That's good. I wish I would have known that at the beginning.
Finally, last question before we can wrap it up, unless you guys want to talk about other things, is what's the one thing that now being in this industry for the time that you've been in, what's the one thing that was a realization, like swallowing the red pill of like, oh, it's not like that, and it was just a complete, almost like a splash of cold water to the face?
Definitely for sports always happen evenings and weekends, and so your work schedule revolves around evenings and weekends. And at first it's like, oh yeah, whatever, like that's fine, like I'll do that, like no problem. But it catches up to you pretty quick. It's like, especially as you get older and people's lives start revolving a lot more around the 9-to-5 schedule and like going to cottages on weekends or like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You start to feel the effects of not being able to do things with people, and you're always working, and I don't know. It sort of catches up to you.
That's actually something. It's I had an interview earlier. A little while ago, actually, same interview that you probably had. And the question came up, it's like, well, what would you like to do in your free time? And, you know, would you like to get involved with the community? Would you like to volunteer? I said, well, yeah, of course I would, but my schedule won't let me. To which the interviewer was like, what do you mean? I said, I work weekends. Everything happens on the weekend. Like, and then when I'm not working weekends, then I got to supplement with another job, which means that my schedule is everywhere, so I can't commit to anything. So, yeah, like my schedule is tied up, which is why I can't go and enjoy myself or volunteer or do part of these things, because my work schedule that I've chosen just won't allow it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing as well with the sports thing and working evenings and weekends is I can't play sports anymore. Intramural sports or senior men's leagues or whatever. Yeah. That's all evenings and weekends. So I'm basically just covering them instead of playing them. And after a while, you're kind of just like, oh, wait, like I got into this because I love sports, but now I never play sports. Like, wait, what? What's going on right now?
Something happened here. I just,
What about you two?
How about her?
This might sound like super bitter and jaded, but
Really?
I came from working 3 years in the restaurant industry, which was by no means a long-term goal and was no means a career for me. But something I like never realized about that industry overall is just how much people have each other's backs. So whether that be like you're dealing with a difficult guest or whatever, like even like it's petty stuff.
Yeah.
But like people looked out for each other and people were generally really supportive about that and like really understanding, and like in my experience, this industry is not like that at all. It's a constant like blind copy on emails. It's like manipulative, set people up to fail, constantly have to be on your toes, constantly having to like, at least in my position. And I know a lot of it has to do with the fact that I am everywhere. So I deal with a lot of different departments. So it's not as simple as having like one-way communication with one person. Yeah. But I honestly like, was so surprised by it. I kind of thought, I was like, yeah, you know, like we're all in media and like
Part of the team.
yeah, like look at us, one cohesive like big family. And then I was like, why is everyone so like nasty behind each other's people's backs? Like, and that's something that I'm like slowly learning, is a lot of just like that's what people are like at work. It has nothing to do with them outside of work. But I don't know. It's not as supportive as I thought it was going to be. And then I don't really know like where I got that idea that it would be supportive. Like I don't know where that started, but I thought it would be a lot more like we're all in this. None of us make money. We're all doing it because we hypothetically have this like driving passion for it. So I thought there would be like that similar understanding amongst everyone. And like, yeah, I know that we're all competing for the same jobs and stuff, but like, I don't know. I thought it would have like a different aura.
Different atmosphere.
Yeah, a little bit. And I mean, I definitely feel that way with like some people. Like there's a lot of people at the station that I definitely like value my relationships with, but it's never the people I have to deal with. Like I never have to like send Tyson a discreet, rude email. Being like,
me? I got one last week.
oh my God, you got that? I think I CC'd you on it. Shit.
BCC.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a bonehead play. You know? Bonehead play.
But yeah, like it's stuff like that I kind of feel like I'm suddenly like an adult, I guess, when in the sense of like beforehand everybody was just like, you know, you do your thing and everybody has their own shit going on in their own life, but like you understand that and you move forward, and when you go to work to work, and it's not full of drama and it's not full of this and that and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It was just work. And here I feel like it's a lot more than that. But
that's what makes it exciting.
That's true.
It gets
right.
The people
it keeps
going.
Keeps you going and wanting to come back for more.
That's true. And the gossip around here is pretty entertaining too. So
I have not been privy to as much gossip as I would like to be. It would certainly be a lot more entertaining. But.
Yeah, apparently Juliet has a shrine for Tyson. I don't know where I heard that.
Oh no, like, I knew about that.
Did you want some water, Peter?
On the topic of that, before we move on to your red pill there, Tyson.
I take all types of pills.
Liar. The whole thing, like I've found over the years, is that you're dealing in an industry of egos, right? And that's
Airheads.
Yeah, sure. But it's what makes this industry very cutthroat and very cliquey and even sometimes edgy, where you have this inflated ego that you're a personality on radio or television or behind the scenes or whatever it is. And you're a mover and you're a shaker, and people recognize you and people go to you with ideas and you make it happen, and then they come back to you and like, thank you so much. You were a great help with this, and it wasn't for you, blah, blah, blah. And the ego gets inflated to the point where you start believing in your own shit. When in all honesty, like someone else could come in and take your position and possibly do better than you, or at least an adequate job. And so because of that, you start to get, a little bit on edge sometimes. And it's not the case with all people, right? Like there's people with both radio stations and television. I mean, fuck, you guys are here. Level-headed and very grounded and great to work with and have a few laughs and here and there. But there are people in this industry and even some in this building that I don't have the time of day for because they're just negative. They're just very, very spiteful. They're very egotistical. And I don't get along with those people.
Can you elaborate on who?
No.
But we were just talking about how good the gossip is.
Yeah, when the microphone's off.
I'm so sorry to all of you listeners.
Well, I mean, anyone who knows me knows that there's one person in the radio industry here in Prince George that despises
Do tell.
I'll tell you, it's Matt Porteous.
No.
There's no art. It's not
every day
secret there.
like
He is the
shout-out.
PA announcer for the Prince George Cougars.
Yeah. And
I don't think he likes me either.
Really?
Never met the guy.
Oh.
I did a highlight pack for a Cougars game once.
Yeah.
And
Grinded him into the asphalt.
one of their players was going for an all-time franchise record.
Yeah.
And so he tied the record, goal or assist or whatever it was. Yeah. And I guess Matt, who does the PA announcing, announced that he had set the record when he had only tied it.
Yeah.
And then later in the game, the guy does set the record, and it's like, he's like, correction, like he now has set the record or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that became sort of part of the story, right? Because everyone in the building is kind of confused, and the player was confused, and it kind of it becomes a thing, right? So after the game, I asked the player about it. He's like, "Yeah, I heard that," and I was like, "What? No, that's not right." And then, like, he had a pretty funny little clip about it, so it became this whole thing. And I don't know if you ever watched it or not, but people were giving me a hard time. People were like, "Oh, Porteous is gonna hate you when he sees that." I was like, "Well, he became part of the story. It was his fault." So
I'll share my story about Matt Porteous after we get to your realization about the industry. Honestly. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there.
There's really nothing there.
Really.
Maybe when I got into it at like 16, 17, I was just like, oh, wow, a lot of people don't like to do live stuff. It's just record and get out.
Yeah.
That's about it. But that was, that's nothing special. So we'll move on.
Well, it's nothing special, but it's something that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, for the longest time, there used to be like, we'll just talk radio. Okay. For the longest time, there used to be the case where there was someone behind the microphone at all times. If you heard a voice, chances are they were live, right? And that included the midnight shift, where people would be there from like 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. and they'd just be hanging out, probably high on coffee and stoned out of their mind and listening to music that isn't playing on the radio and doing whatever the hell else. But that used to be a gig. But nowadays, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone live behind a microphone at any radio station past 6 p.m. And that's just the case. That's just the way it is right now, because now they've figured out how to voice track things and pre-record things, and then the announcers, like myself, have made it so that we can make it sound like we're live, but we're not actually live. We're not actually talking about anything that's current. Or if we are, we're making it seem like we're a part of it, but we're just being very strategic about our presentation. And for someone like me who's been struggling to get in this industry professionally for years, it pissed me off, because I'd volunteer my time to be live on the radio, but there's radio stations out there like, no, click and then go pre-recorded, and they're taking an opportunity away from people like me. So, yeah, I mean, the realization is like, oh, you're not live? There's no one there? It can be a bit shocking at times.
it's like when a kid finds out Santa Claus isn't real.
What?
Boy, we got 6-year-olds on this, so let's go real.
And me?
I just said motherfucker like twice now. Right?
They probably heard worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like Santa Claus isn't real. Thanks, Pete. Dreams crushed.
Oh. All right, my story about Matt Porteous. Prince George Cougars game. He was the announcer. I'm there with former members of this podcast, Matt the Mad Scientist, as well as Mitch the World Conqueror, Professor Tom, and a few other people. And we're sitting where we usually like to sit, well, where I usually like to sit. And we would sit in the corner of the CN Center to face, we're watching the opposing net, right? It just so happens that in that corner is the PA booth directly above us, okay? So Matt Porteous is the PA announcer, and it's the it was the Kamloops Blazers versus the Prince George Cougars. We're watching the game, and Kamloops gets a penalty, and I hear something, I'm not paying attention because Matt Porteous' voice just grinds on me. And my buddy, the Mad Scientist, pokes me and goes, "Did you hear that?" I go, "Hear what?" He goes, "Matt Porteous, he said the wrong team." I said, "Did he say the Cougars?" He goes, "No, he said Portland." It's like, that doesn't make... Are you sure? Because it's Kamloops versus Prince George. Why would he say Portland? He goes, "Hey, man, I'm just hearing what I'm hearing." Okay, fine. So about 5 minutes later, another penalty for Kamloops. And again, I get poked in the ribs. I go, "What?" And it's the Mad Scientist going, he did it again. He said Portland. I say, okay, I'm going to pay attention from now on. So second period comes around, and we go over to the other side because we like to watch the opposing net. And Kamloops gets a goal. Matt Porteous, okay, now I'm ready, right? Ready. Matt Porteous comes out on the microphone and goes, "Portland, winner hot goal." And I went, holy shit. He's got the team absolutely, utterly wrong. So we're just laughing about it, having a good time with it, just giggling because, like, how can you mess this up, right? Anyway, so that continues on. Third period comes around, and again, he's still calling it Portland. It's fucking Kamloops on the ice. The scoreboard says Kamloops, right? Like, how can you mess this up? And how has no one fixed this problem yet? I mean, the Brodskys were the owners of the team at the time, and they were there for every single game night. So, like, who's not paying attention? So the mad scientist finally finds Matt Porteous on Twitter and says, not sure which game you're watching, but I'm watching the one between Prince George and Kamloops, hashtag Portland's not here, right? To which Matt Porteous replied back, says, how'd you like to come up here and do my job? And the mad scientist went back to Twitter and said, only if Portland's not playing. And back and forth, right? I'm staying out of this, right? But at one point in time, my buddy, the mad scientist, said something funny on Twitter, and I liked it on my Twitter feed, TheMediaJack. And that was it. That was all that was done. And so since the third period, end of the game, we're back where we were, and we're sitting just below the announcer's booth. And the game's over, and the mad scientist stands up, turns around, goes, no way! And I go, what? He goes, Matt Porteous just flipped me off. And sure as hell, I turn around, look at Matt Porteous. He is hanging out of the PA announcer's window in front of everyone, flipping the bird to me and the mad scientist. So clearly he figured out who it was. The very next day, I'm having breakfast with the crew because it's a Saturday morning. The Flipside usually runs on a Saturday night. And I'm on Twitter and I'm hyping up the shows like, this happened, that happened. And the mad scientist gets into a Twitter fight with Matt Porteous. And I included both of their Twitter handles. To which Matt Porteous then spent the next hour and a half tearing me apart on Twitter. Insulting me, insulting the Flipside, insulting my wife, insulting my family. And I quote, we laugh whenever your resume and demo comes into our office. Now he's insulting my profession on behalf of the company he works for on Twitter. This continues on for like 3 hours. And then he proceeds to block me, block everyone else on Twitter, and then continues to rip us all apart, right? So finally got to the point where I was like, I got to do something about this because at this point in time, he's just embarrassing himself. I'm not even replying. People are sending me screenshots of what's going on. What do I do? So I contacted his boss and go, cool your boy. Like, this is what's going on. I sent him screenshots of everything. To which his boss said, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. No, we're not like that at all. We're equal opportunity. We never laugh at anything that comes through our door. Please submit another resume and demo. To which, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, fucking, that's not going to happen. I'm so sorry. And yes, Matt Porteous was totally in the wrong. It doesn't matter if he's on his personal account. This is totally unprofessional, blah, 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 blah. We are so sorry. I was like, okay, fine. Just, it'd be nice to know that Matt Porteous would say he's sorry as well. That never happened. That was, it's 2007 now. That was 5 years ago. I'm still blocked off of social media from Matt Porteous and the radio station he works for. So yeah, he's my biggest fan.
Remember when you were
I'm sure he'll be listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about fandom. There you go. Have you ever had anybody shout you out on Twitter for 3 hours?
Oh, it was devastating. It was stupid,
That's
right?
ridiculous.
Like, okay, so there's a monicum of respect when it comes to myself and other broadcasters, right? And it took me a long while to get here. But still, like, I had respect for Matt Porteous. I may not like his on-air presence. I may not like his presentation. I may not like him as a broadcaster, but he is still a broadcaster, so he is still one of my peers, right? So I did have some respect for him until he completely and utterly went off the rails. Then it's just like, no, you're just an egotistical dickhead. That's what you are. So, yeah.
You should invite him on.
You should.
That would require me to be able to contact him.
Maybe here's what we'll do. I'll contact him. I'll be like, hi, I'm doing a podcast. I'm wondering if I can interview you. And then he'll show up. He'll sit here, and I'll be like, I'm actually not feeling well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get somebody to sub in. And then you'll walk in, and he'll be like, dang, flab it. That's what he'll say word for word.
I will tell you this right now on record, Levi. I would interview him in a heartbeat.
Oh, that'd be golden radio.
Oh, wouldn't it?
I'd love it.
I think you should make it live.
Live on that station.
That one?
Yeah.
The one that you're pointing to, that everybody doesn't know what we're pointing
Exactly.
to because it's radio.
Exactly.
Got to use that theater of the mind.
Exactly. Not that one.
No,
that
that
one.
one.
That one.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that one.
But yeah, I would
The
totally.
one over here.
I would totally interview Matt Porteous because I would absolutely love to know what he would say, because that would be intriguing.
I feel like interviewing anybody that you're like not enemies with, but like clearly not on like good terms with would just be so interesting.
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking of like people who I would like to interview that I think would just be so interesting. Questions I'm dying to know the answers to.
I can think of 2 people in your roster right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
yeah.
in the station alone. Not even going back to like high school days.
Yeah. But yeah, I know I would totally interview Matt Porteous. Are you kidding me? That'd be hilarious.
That would be good.
Actually, Matt Porteous' boss actually at one point in time asked me if I'd be willing to do an MMA fight against Matt Porteous.
Oh my God.
I said, sign me the fuck up. He goes, yeah, okay. Gets back to me a week later. He's like, yeah, Matt won't do it.
Oh man.
God.
Whatever.
I hadn't heard that one. That would have been gold, though.
That would have been, I would do that.
There are like very few people that I would physically fight. Mainly because I'm
Pacifist?
pretty flustered.
Flustered?
Like a person.
I'm willing to bet.
Little chicken wings. But yeah, I was just thinking like if somebody was like, would you fight this person? I was just trying to figure out like who I would actually fight.
I would face Matt Porteous in a sanctioned MMA fight. Easily.
Matt Porteous in the cage.
You know what? This could like fulfill a lot of dreams. You could do the play-by-play for it. You could do a story on it. I'll attend it as the fun chaser. Be like, hey everyone, it's Levi the Fun Chaser. So excited to be here tonight for the big fight. Make sure to like tag us on social media, show off your pictures.
But you'd have to be the ring girl too.
Oh God.
Round 1.
Actually, I think Tyson has that one. Yes. When you were asking me like where do I see myself?
Ring girl.
Yeah. Or,
MMA fighter.
Or one of those car race flaggers. You know, when they're like ready, set.
Stop.
or I recently found out about a new career path the other weekend at the motocross, and that is the rock star girls.
Oh.
I had no idea.
They make a lot of money.
Do they though?
They do.
What?
Same with Red Bull.
I know one of the former rock
Really?
star motocross model / racers, and yeah, she cleared a lot of money.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dollar bill, yeah.
Went from a joke to a realization.
I like to call this an epiphany. Wow. Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, I had no idea that they even existed, but like, that was interesting.
Yeah. It's a weird world we live in.
It is a very weird
world.
Weird world.
Anyway, I don't want to keep you guys any longer. It's been great having you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This is the point where I let you promote yourself if you want to have people follow you anywhere on social media. And we'll start right off with you, Tyson.
I don't even know what my Twitter is.
Oh, for crying out loud.
It is at Tyson_Fedor.
Fedor.
F for Freddy. E for elephant, D for dog, O for orange, and R for raccoon.
All right. Fedor.
You nailed it.
Sorry, what was the last letter? I didn't catch it.
R for raccoon.
Okay.
No, it was raccoon. Peter, your turn.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter and read all the
elsewhere.
weird thoughts that I had.
It's at Pete Daddy.
That's what it should be. That should be my alter
You
ego.
should for everything.
Pete Daddy.
Pete Daddy.
Yeah.
It's at P Houston, like Houston, Texas, or
Gotcha.
Houston, BC.
Like we have
Can
a
you spell that for
problem.
me?
HOUSTON.
With names?
I will not give you words associated with the letters.
When you say H, is that in like as in like Helvetica, as in the font?
Heltavecchia? Is that
O as in
Helvetica?
orangutan.
Helvetica.
Orangutan.
H is in jalapeno.
H is in Houston.
H is in
O as in Houston. Oh, I didn't even get to say the whole thing. It's P Houston CKPG is
P
the full
Houston.
thing.
P Houston CKPG.
Yeah.
Not Pete Daddy.
No.
Okay.
Although I will be making that in 5 minutes.
Watch for P Daddy on Twitter.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Levi.
I don't use my Twitter. The last time I think I posted something on it was in grade 9.
Get those Insta followers up.
Okay. If you say so. It's Levi Page Sinclair, so that's spelled L as in loser, E as in everything, V as in virgin.
The second letter of
Virgin.
I as in island. P as in pamplemousse. A
Look what you
as
did, Tyson.
A as in Agatha. I as in immune system.
How about the Caloite?
Sorry?
Caloite?
Yes.
Isn't your Instagram Levi P Sinclair?
Yeah, it is.
Aren't you?
It is.
Yeah, why are you going so far off
You're
the
not-
back here?
I need to start from the beginning.
Everyone,
Anyway, JD, it's been great to be on.
Yeah, thanks.
yeah,
Peter.
Levi P. Sinclair. Thanks for following me.
There you go. For the past couple of years, I've been frequent at Northern FanCon, a great cosplay convention and geekdom convention in Prince George, which brings in talent from all over the place, not just in Prince George and the surrounding area, but further out. We get people who are guests as well as people who want to show up and be a part of the great event and get to know other people of the cosplay community and other people that are into the same thing they are, be it comic books, cosplay, video games, costume design, whatever the case may be. A couple of years ago, I ran into an incredible cosplayer that just blew my mind with her design as well as her presence and everything that she had put together for her cosplay. She currently has on her Facebook page known as Pixel Vomit Cosplay, a great selection of a few videos as well as the cosplay that she has been in photo shoots and as such. I currently joined on the line right now by Kaylee, known as Pixel Vomit Cosplay. Hi, Kaylee. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. You are just absolutely stunning when it comes to the work that you put into your cosplay. Not only do you have this incredible frame about you, because how tall are you?
I'm about 5'6" or 5'7".
Okay.
But often I end up wearing a lot of heels. So
Yeah, because the first time I saw you, I believe it was the first ever Northern FanCon, which was 3 years ago. You towered over top of me, and I'm like 5'9".
yeah, in the Demon Hunter probably, right? The
Yeah.
Farmer?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the one.
Yep. That was some 5-inch heels right there.
So, like, it blew me away because you're not from Prince George. You're actually from outside of Prince George. Quite a drive, and you had this. You were wearing this incredible cosplay, but this was the first time I saw you. Was the first ever Northern FanCon. It was unlike anything else. Unlike anything that has ever happened in Prince George before that time, 3 years ago. And here you show up with this incredible piece. Have you always been a fan of cosplay?
I suppose so. As soon as I figured it out, sort of thing. It wasn't really something that I was planning on doing. It was sort of I jumped into it on a whim.
Okay.
And just I met a bunch of people, and they encouraged me to continue.
Really?
And, yeah, it just came out from there.
So you met a bunch of people. They encouraged you to continue because you were basically along that path at that point in time?
I guess so. It was actually in the first convention that I ever went to. I had brought a couple small costumes with me, not thinking about it really. It was just like, oh, I'm going to a convention. People dress up. I'm going to bring costumes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up rooming with a couple strangers that were in the artist alley.
Okay.
And number one, they kind of did this like, wait, this was your first convention and you brought 2 costumes? Are you serious? Are you crazy? And during that convention, I met a group of people from Seattle who took me under their wing for the entire weekend, which was really, really nice of them. And then they also invited me out to kind of hang out with them down in Seattle during one of their convention times. And they also kind of hinted at me doing a couple costumes with them as like a group and stuff like that. So they definitely became a huge influence on like what I made at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, they like to encourage creativity and maybe a couple bad influences in there as well.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of bad influence because, you know, through their imagination and creativity generally do come together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Now, do you have any sort of history or a background in costume design of any sort?
I didn't really think about it, but sort of.
Sort of.
It's sort of a hit or miss on that one.
Okay.
Throughout high school, every like Halloween, I tried to up my game every year.
Okay.
And I was also involved in theater tech, so I was always behind the scenes when doing like musical theaters or any kind of theater production that I might have volunteered for.
Mm-hmm.
After I graduated, I continued to volunteer for a little while, and I think it was the year after I graduated, they were doing the Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
And they needed somebody to make the little alien, the Audrey 2, sorry.
All right.
Yeah, he's like the little alien plant guy, and we needed to make puppets for him, and they assigned me to do it. So I ended up making 4 of these ever-growing, monstrous things.
So
that may have been my introduction into this without really realizing.
What materials do you primarily use when you've been working with or working on your current and future cosplay costumes?
That's usually ever changing as well.
Yeah?
It sort of depends on what I end up making, because if it's just a textile thing, it's usually just random fabrics that I find in a fabric store or like upholstery vinyl or something like that. If I'm doing more armored stuff, that's usually, I often use Warbler. It's the easiest thing for me to use, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
actually don't like it at all.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm rather shocked by that because, well, you know what? When it comes to using Warbler, especially talking with other cosplayers, it's kind of a polarizing material. Some people love it, they swear by it, and others like I can't work with it. It doesn't go where I want it to go. It doesn't form the way I want it to form. So you seem to have the touch, as it were, with Warbler.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe I just have a good eye for thinking in like 3D perspective, I guess. Maybe it has to do with my own, like, I know how my body sits, so I know how the armor's supposed to sit on that as well. I'm not entirely sure.
Yep.
But the first time that I ever used it, it ended up being a complete success, and I was just like thrown back by the fact that I made this so quickly and that it worked out really well. And so I just kind of jumped into it some more and created that Demon Hunter.
Wow.
And I couldn't even believe that turned out as good as it did. So.
Kudos to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What has been your favorite cosplays that you have been a part of so far? And follow up that, what has been your favorite cosplays that you've seen so far?
Cool. That I've seen in Prince George, there's been a few.
Yeah.
For sure. In fact, even this year, I mean, our own Benny G winning the cosplay contest, like, his costume was really, really amazing.
Jack of Blades.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always thrown away by, like, Jessica Negri's, like, bigger costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that, yes, she does, like, the more, like, skin revealing stuff, I still, like, I'm just blown away by the amount of detail she puts into everything. So she's always a big influence. And then there's Kamui Cosplay as well, she was like one of the front runners for Warbly Youth. And her stuff is just always super detailed as well. She takes a lot of time to make her costumes, so you can kind of tell that she is able to get all that detail in there just because she takes that much time and effort.
Mm.
And she's always upping up her game. Like I'm constantly watching her stuff. So.
The fun thing about Jessica Negri, who is by far like one of the top tier cosplayers out there, is like, yeah, she does tend to show a little bit of skin and she has fun with it. But when she goes full out into character, I mean, you can barely recognize her as Jessica Negri anymore because she basically becomes that character, becomes that figure. Sometimes she's in full-blown armor that is just unparalleled compared to other people out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite cosplay that you've created so far? Like when you go into let's say that you're not going to compete. You're just going to go to, let's say, another Northern Fan Con. There's one in the near future, and you're going to bring with you 3 cosplays that you are most proud of. Which ones are those?
Honestly, I think I've already brought them to Northern Fan Con.
Okay.
So the Demon Hunter is always my number one.
Right.
Like, that one has been my absolute pride and joy. I do need to make a whole lot of repairs on it because I've just used it to oblivion.
Oh.
So there's that one. The first ever use of Warbler was for my Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Okay.
And I just love how that one looks. Quite often what I tell other people is that when you look at a character, you look at their outline as well as the details within. And that's sort of how I view cosplay as well, is that I try to get the silhouette correct. So if you were like backlit by something, like you couldn't even see the front, you'd still be recognizable from just your outline. You know?
Yeah. Makes sense.
And all that detail in the middle, like it definitely like brings it all into balance, but you'll still get the full effect just from the outline, which is really cool. And that's usually what I try to do as well. So Demon Hunter was like that. I tried really hard to make sure that that thing was outstanding and as animated as I could. Astrid was the other one just because she had all that fur and there's a lot of layering to her outfit that stands out a little bit more.
Okay.
And I think I got her down pretty good as well. The other one was another Diablo 3 outfit. That was my wizard that I wore last year.
Okay.
And I did go on stage with her as well, and I entered the contest with her. I didn't place or anything, which I wasn't expecting anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. That one was a little bit more of a challenge just because of how much detail there was. But I still think that I got that silhouette down really well.
Cool.
It was a weird costume. But I got to meet the developer that had created her as well, which was really cool. Those same friends down in Seattle invited me to go to BlizzCon with them one year. So.
And what was the reaction of that?
He, like, I was walking away to another building, and he, like, ran to catch up with me and, like, stopped me and did the, like, oh, my God, I made you.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, it was pretty much exactly that. And we ended up touching base again, and he sent me a little link to his public profile, like his portfolio kind of thing.
Oh, yeah?
So he gave me a little bit more of a reference for not only that costume, but for, like, countless weapons and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love making friends.
Well, what do you think about the community when it comes to just the cosplay world? Are you taken back by just how welcoming people can be?
Yeah, sometimes actually. It's really interesting. Maybe it's because I just had not the best growing up time. I got a lot of bullies, but that seems to be a running thing with a lot of cosplayers is that we're all weird, so we stand out and people ostracize us,
Yeah.
And we all sort of have that kind of, like, backstory, and cosplay is almost our, like, you know, The uprising.
Uprising? I was going to say safe zone, but uprising works as well.
No, I like uprising. We're turning into a huge army here. Come on now.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. That's why it's called armor.
That's exactly it. But at the same time, like, I have seen people kind of scurry off into their own little niches, and they end up kind of bullying everyone else as well, which it's sort of the dark side of it as well, is everyone's gaining this confidence, so they turn into the people they once hated.
Yeah.
It's
unfortunate, but it does happen, right?
It does happen.
Yeah.
Most of the time, everyone's pretty welcoming. Everyone's usually really friendly. Of course, everyone gets hangry and whatnot, and not everyone gets enough sleep, and people get grumpy.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, too.
Yeah, I think we all suffer from time to time. Do you have a full schedule coming up? Because you did mention before this interview that there are some cons on your calendar.
Unfortunately, for the rest of the year, I'm actually pretty free unless something comes up.
Oh, really?
I haven't. Yeah, I did have a couple in mind, but I'm not set on them. So I'm not really sure on what's going to happen. It might just be this is it for the rest of the year, and then when con season starts back up again next year, I'll be picking and choosing my way.
Oh, well, I mean, it's good to have that freedom, right?
I suppose so.
You suppose so. Where can someone follow you on social media?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
On Facebook, it's always Pixel Vomit Cosplay. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who uses that handle. So Instagram, you can find me at Pixel Vomit. I think Twitter is Pixel Mannequin, I think.
Okay.
Either that or Pixel Vomit, I can't remember.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the only stuff that I really use anymore. I've sort of stopped using Tumblr and stuff like that, so I don't really feel the need to throw that out there.
Fair enough. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't.
You don't?
I haven't started making videos yet, although I have been told many times by multiple people that I should be doing, like, build videos, but
well,
I just don't think it would be that entertaining.
Well, it should be and want to are two different things, honestly.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much anything that I do, you can find on another person's channel anyway. A lot of the methods that I use are come about from other people who've already done it. So, honestly, I'd just be adding onto the pile. You know?
Well, you could be adding onto the pile, but you know, it could be just you're adding your own take on it. Perhaps
maybe
adding information that you found worked for you along the way. I mean, it's completely subjective, right?
I suppose.
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason that any of my videos would be at all entertaining was just the back and forth of my dogs in the background.
What projects do you have in the future? What can we look forward to? Or are those kind of top secret at this point in time?
They're not top secret. They're more of the undeveloped.
Oh. Okay.
I suppose. I constantly make a small list of things that I'd really like to make. And just the fact that I've taken so long, I've kind of dragged my feet about a couple things already. I think my next few projects may be Overwatch related.
Oh.
I've already told multiple people that I really want to make Zenyatta.
Cool.
And I really wanted to make the Widowmaker Noir.
Right.
Because I think she'll look like a badass.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I'm sort of open. Although, from a new friend that I've recently acquired, he's been really trying to get me on this whole, like, LARPing thing and really wants me to be this, like, ridiculous, badass, villainess type character. And so I've been looking at a lot of patterns for something that would maybe entertain that.
So you'd be basically the boss of LARPing.
I suppose.
You know
I've
what?
never done it before, so I don't really know what to do. So
I would watch a video on that. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm just not really sure on whether or not I'm actually going to get to it, or whether or not I'm just going to hum and haw and, oh yeah, it's such a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Yeah. I've got great ideas for the character, but I just don't know if it's actually going to come to fruition.
Yeah, come to life. LARPing takes a certain mindset. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already told him about the whole like Disney villains are lime, so nobody understands that one.
A final question for you. I don't want to keep you too long here. Is what advice do you have for anyone who's just mulling around the idea of creating their very first cosplay?
Don't hesitate.
Don't hesitate.
Just do it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's an easy thing to get into in the fact that you could go through your closet and find something reminiscent of a character. It doesn't have to be an exact thing. You don't have to wear a wig. You don't have to wear prosthetics. You don't have to wear armor. You could just throw something out of your closet. You can go to the thrift store and find something that would maybe go with whatever you're looking into. It's really easy to pick up. I just feel like a lot of people kind of like, if they're kind of like humming and hawing about it and they just like, you know, oh, I'd love to cosplay, but I feel like it's going to be too much work. It doesn't have to be.
Really?
You can make it easy. You can make it comfortable. Do it in your own pace.
That's
like I didn't start out with armor. I barely even sewed at the start. So
really,
like I feel like I've come a long way.
That's perfect advice. I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. I'm JD the Media Jack. This has been the Flipside podcast, the Fans of the Insanity. You can follow me all over social media at TheMediaJack, as well as here on the YouTube page. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Thank you so much. And also, you can download this either on TheMediaJack.blogspot.ca or on iTunes. And we'll catch you next time.